Hey guys, we are returning to the vintage razor Sheraton from Gillette, and it's going to be what holds my Nacet. We're looking at 164th shave on this blade tonight, and here's my dots. And Sheraton has proven to be a razor that just has the right geometry for my skin, my hair. Speaking of hairs, we've got some finest badger hairs on this knot from Stirling soap company, and that knot has been mounted inside of a CravingShaving handle brush. I love the ergonomics of this particular shape. It's big, I've got big hands, so that works out really well. Comfortable and enjoyable for me. Have that soaking for a few minutes while I prep. So let's go ahead and put this blade in. So as usual, I'll show you. This is the bottom. It's going to go in first in the razor. There's my little remnants of an X that I put on from the very beginning. And this is the top, and it's pretty clean because it's not on the business end of everything. So and why do I put the X down in normal situations? It doesn't matter. You don't have to flip or rotate or anything like that, so don't interpret it that way. I'm just doing kind of an experiment to see if after 200 uses or 250, whenever this blade dies, who knows, maybe 170, I don't know, I'm going to flip it over and finally use the opposite side to see if I get any difference at all. Because then if I do, then there might be some small part of the edge that may be fine with a rotation, but this is an extreme situation. More importantly, if I don't notice any change at all, then I think, for me at least, that just really cements the answer to the question of, does flipping a blade matter? If there's no difference, then it doesn't matter at all. So that's why I'm doing that. All right, the soap for today is a base that I've used several times in other scents. I've gotten some samples from Wickham, 1912, and this is a used puck, a used tub that I recently bought, Irish Fern. And some of the fragrances, like Magnum, seemed a little feminine for me. Some of them were maybe too faint, but I did like the Russian leather. Thought that one was interesting. I'll be on the lookout for a used puck of that, or maybe just buy one, who knows. But I came across this as a used puck, and I thought, I haven't tried that one yet. I looked it up online. Sounded like a good recipe. Yeah, and as you would expect, kind of green, mossy, not super floral. It's not giving off a feminine floral vibe at all. Yeah, I'm liking that so far. And so here's what the soap looks like. It's definitely been used, maybe a third of it, or maybe a little bit more. A pretty hard soap. I'm pressing it with my thumb. It's barely going in. I have to give a good effort to make it go in, and that does match with my experience with it, because I have it doesn't take too much of the product to give you a good shave, and so you're using less product per shave, and so that $18 that it might have cost you to get the soap, from what I've been seeing, that's going to maybe make it stretch out 5 or 6 months instead of the usual 3 months for that same kind of cost. And so it's a very economical soap so far. All right, I'm throwing a little bit of water on my face. Usual kind of time frame, 24-hour soak, and I've got hard water, and I just use tepid, whatever comes out of the cold tap. All right, folks, let us load up. I'm going to do a 30-second load. I've used samples with this soap base, and so that's all I've used is my little scooper, my 1/4 teaspoon scoop. So this will be my actually first time lather loading with a brush in the tub, shaking out most of the water. And I just recently put a new reaffix to this knot. It started to come loose, which is no problem. Just pull it out, remove the excess silicone, put in more, reaffix. I just must not have used enough silicone last time. So 40 rolled around just then. So let's go to 10 at the next minute, and that'll be a 30-second load. So the Stirling Finest is really nice soft tips. Previously it was mounted a little too deep into the handle, for me at least, so it had too much backbone. And one more second, and there we go. Now, I took out so much water that nothing overflowed. You know, you can see kind of the pastiness to it. This is what it looks like. Obviously, if I would have left more water in the brush, things would have been different. And so you can play around with whatever, however you like to do it, and see which method you prefer. If you like to leave a little bit more water in your brush, you know, give it a shot, see what you like. All right. And so I have been letting the silicone cure for a few days. I like to go for the 3-day. It's overkill, I'm sure, but I've got enough brushes to enjoy in the meanwhile. So this is a very dry lather coming up here, just kind of spreading it around, and that's all right. So we will fairly quickly switch over into the period where we start adding water. Similar knots to this one that I've been evaluating lately are the Elite Manchurian and the Maggard SHD. I really like both those other knots. Those are also some that I had to raise up in the handle because I mounted them I thought I was mounting them at kind of an average depth, but then due to their backbone, due to the backbone because of the density, the sheer number of hairs, I had to change the loft and raise it up a little bit so that the fringe ones could lay over on the side and make room for there to be some movement and allow the brush to splay, that sort of thing. So now I've got 2.5 teaspoons of water in. And so I'll be comparing, trying to remember how those other ones felt. And I think the Stirling Finest is just a terrific brush. Economical, terrific, excellent brush for early users and veterans alike, really, because it's at a great entry-level price point. You're not going to break the bank, but it's got nice soft tips. If you like a really soft brush without very much backbone, then it may be a little too firm for you. But anybody else is probably going to enjoy the firmness that it offers, because it does keep that backbone keeps those nice soft tips on your skin. I also opted not for the fan knot. A fan knot looks more like this, and a bulb knot, this is kind of a modified one. This is kind of halfway between a fan and a bulb. But the bulb knot looks more like this guy, much more rounded. Not too much in terms of scent has snuck up to my nose from this distance. That's one of the tests that I do. Now let's pull up the lather kind of from, hey, now that's not bad. I'm going to go ahead and keep adding No, you know what? Before I add more water, since I have added 3.5 teaspoons, let me get a feel for it. Maybe I haven't loaded enough soap. Oh no, that might be about right there. I can feel the ridges in my fingerprints. This is a vegan soap or vegetarian, whatever. I don't really care too much. I generally favor the tallow just because of a better performance. But as long as it's a good soap, I don't care. All right. Not tons of lather in the bowl here, but I'm sure it's enough to do the job. That's my guess, so let's give it a shot. Who knows, maybe this soap is so firm that it requires a longer load time. Maybe this soap also is sat around in somebody's cabinet for a couple of years being unused, and so that's why they offered it up for sale. Throw some water on my face. Just a little bit. And let's see how the lather works. And the brush, a lot of density in the hairs, but it is comfortable, not pushing me around too much. It's kind of thin looking, isn't it? So sometimes what you can do then is switch to the painting motion to kind of spread the lather around a little bit. Oh, the scent is coming around now. Nice. Yeah, you can definitely tell the fern type scent, kind of green without really being flowery. I think I am going to dip back in and get a little bit more lather. All right. Definitely the backbone is there with the brush. It definitely, and it doesn't splay nearly as easily as some, especially some nice poofy silver tips. But I think I like it okay. And we're definitely going to give it some more uses to let it expand. Get some of those hairs out of the center of the brush. And maybe help it to keep growing. All right. Yeah, a green scent. Yeah, I think it is along the lines of some of the what you might expect some of the ferns, and I think I like it. I like it. All right. With the grain first. And I'm not getting any tugging really. Very, very minimal. Definitely no pain, no stinging. But what I'm really going to be looking for is the quality of the cut, because I think that's where this blade is going to start to show its age, and that's where I'll finally have to call it. If I have to do 6 passes to get a good shave, then that's too many. That's too many. However, if I'm using a good soap that I just really love, then maybe I don't mind doing 6 passes. And no, I don't always take a blade this far. I was looking at my notes, and I think I'd probably take a Nacet maybe to 70 or something the next time I use one. It was still giving me really nice shaves up to that point without very much trouble at all. So the scent is there. It's got some strength to it. That part I like very much. I'm going to say a strength of 6 out of 10. That's above average. Let's rinse this off. All right, let's load up again. Made sure I got tons of lather on my brush this time. I'm definitely not going to need to go back and get more lather from the bowl. Now switch to painting. In terms of my brush strokes, no more scrubbing. Look at the lather, make sure it's kind of doesn't have pock marks, doesn't feel pasty or thick. This is a good lather. And over the last, as far as the dullness of the blade and stuff, the degradation of it, you know, it's just going to happen. And I have noticed over the last several shaves that I'm feeling more of my stubble after that first pass than I have ever felt before. And so we may have downgraded into a different plateau. I'm fine with that. Blades aren't going to last forever, but I'd love to get this guy to 200. That'd be neat. I'm kind of looking at a lot of my other more aggressive razors to see if maybe I want to see which one might fit the bill to try the Nacet in, the old guy. I think maybe my open comb, Timeless. I have a 68 base plate. It's the more mild, but I tell you what, the open comb version so far to me has felt way more aggressive than the 95 in the solid bar. This is because of the fact that I've used this razor so much with this blade that I've also used so much over the last year since I've started tracking the razors that I've used for the last couple of years. It's one of the top three most popular razors with in terms of frequency of use. All right, feels good. Strong scent, lather, nice and slick. I don't feel any skin irritation. Yeah, that's a nice rich scent. It's not boring. It feels very natural, very kind of outdoorsy in terms of that fern type scent. Bordering on maybe a perfumey floral, maybe a little powder in there, but not enough to trip my triggers quite yet. So, so far, I think I'm liking it. So that's the second pass done. My cheeks are in really great shape, but my neck has lots of hairs that I can see some length on. So let's work on those. What about my other side? Oh, this one's in good shape. Let's focus on that call it my trouble spot, because that's what it is. It causes me all kinds of grief. So let's just, no, it's fun. Just shave the whole face. And these tips on this brush are very soft. Very nice. So the grain of my trouble spot area is the hair's coming this way, and then it starts to take a downward turn around this area. And it's just, I don't know, they lay so close to the skin. I'm sure a lot of guys have, trouble areas, especially when things swirl. So, what am I going to try to do now? Let's come up in the cross grain pattern, and I'm going to do a slight blade tilt to where I'm almost where I'm doing like a slant motion. Let's see how that does. Very light again. Just pressing it enough to let the skin touch, the blade touch the skin. Keeping it light. All right, so that's that area. Now let's just do the rest. See the razor skip. This might be a little too thin of a lather, but it's working. I can already see that a particular stroke didn't seem to do very much to that area. So I'm going to put some more lather on there. Let's try a slant in the other direction. Probably useless since that's doesn't have any against the grain notion at all. But sometimes you got to try the weird stuff when you get a weird patch. Ah, that looked like that did a little damage. All right, rinse. That's actually a pretty good cut. I don't really see very many hairs with length on them. I definitely see some tips. And if a boss, a very particular boss that demands an excellent shave, were to be right up in me, he might have something to complain about, but pretty much anybody else is going to be fine with it and wouldn't see anything. So let's lay down another pass on my kind of neck only, see what happens. All right, and I am gathering up almost all the lather that's in here. I could probably still pull together enough to do another pass. Enjoying this brush. I do like the other two a little bit better, the Manchurian from Elite and the Maggard's SHD so far, but we're going to keep using this guy, get a really good handle on him. Okay, now we'll go by my normal kind of stroke up from this direction. That is a cross-grained. And the trouble about this, my trouble area, all the other hairs around it kind of switch grains. And so if I do my stroke too far in a certain direction, then it starts to be against the grain and I get irritation. Again, very light touch. A little bit of pulling, a little bit of tugging on the skin. Not a lot. I've definitely had my share of tugs give me zero good results. So be careful. Don't do it too much or you'll end up with some ingrown hairs. You don't want that. I think I'm going to be happy with this. Yeah, I'm actually not able to find any hairs in this area that have some length on them. So I'm happy with that shave. Took some work, but the blade is still working. All right, and I've pretty much used up all my lather. I could probably squeeze out of this brush and still have enough for a pass, you know, because, you know, these badgers will hold. Yeah, see, look, that's plenty enough for another pass. So, how much water did I use? 3.5 teaspoons. That's what I added to build up the lather. This was a 30-second load and on the puck, and it's pretty well perfect. Because I had that hole, I was able to squeeze the brush and have that whole amount there. So if I make a mistake, there's plenty of margin there. So it sounds like 30 is just right. I mean, if you want just a couple of passes of excess lather, then go for maybe 40 seconds if you're using this brush, for instance. All right. Told you I had hard water. Told you the amount of water I used. All right. Post shave. Let's see what we have. The feel right now dried out pretty quickly, but it doesn't feel dry. It doesn't feel like it's drying out or shrinking, or my skin doesn't feel any irritation, even in my area where I just worked that so much. So feeling good. Let me go down and find a balm. I've actually been liking this sandalwood lately. It's a nice authentic sandalwood, and it's from Lather and Wood. It's a balm, and I'm going to put, it spreads a lot easier if I just kind of throw a few drops of water on my skin. Got a great scent to it if you like just kind of an unadulterated sandalwood. So many times the perfumers, especially in Europe and England, will take a sandalwood and mask it and put cologne with it, and even powdery women floral type stuff to change it up to where you don't even smell any sandalwood anymore. That was alarming to me, because I would order some sandalwood soaps, get them in, and I couldn't find any sandalwood in the scent. Fortunately we can sell things back and sometimes even return them. All right, so I've just got a nice scent. I also don't expect too much from this lotion, from this balm. I have oily skin, don't really need it to be an amazing balm, just have some healing properties. Hey, speaking of that, let's see what type of healing ingredients we have. It's small text. Oh, aloe, coconut oil, witch hazel, neem seed oil, rosemary, jojoba seed oil, white willow bark, and there we go. How about that? Seattle company, Lather and Wood. They do have Amazon products, so if you got an Amazon gift certificate, if you like authentic sandalwood, then I'm glad that I picked these guys early on. You got good reviews, and I like it. It's got a nice scent. I think this is going to blend well also with the fern here. Yeah, those blend. Those work well together, in my opinion. All right, cap this guy up for another day. So it is a pretty strong scent, maybe 6 or 7 out of 10. And I could see the potential for some people out there who especially like mild soaps to have this one be a little too strong for them. And so just be warned. But it was, I got the fern, and like I said, I'll have to see how I like it. I wouldn't mind if there was maybe a little bit of maturity, more woodiness added to it, something like that. But, you can't always, I feel like sometimes I try to pigeon my scents all into one little box. I try to make them all the same. Sometimes you feel like, let's just have a light, fern scent. Speaking of which, the nature of this one does seem to lend itself toward a warmer climate. It's not super bright like a pungent citrus, but it's not heavy. It's not sweet at all. It is very natural. So spring, summer, very kind of outdoorsy, with some green and grasses kind of around. That's kind of where I put it, with maybe a few perfumers things thrown into it as well, like a white musk, or something along that line. So there we go. I think it would function pretty well in the winter if you wanted it to, but I just don't think that's its natural place in terms of this scent. All right, well, hey, I hope this shave has had something for you in it. I'm glad to finally have a tub of the Wickham on hand now, and I think I enjoy this scent. We'll try it a few more times and see. It's strong enough to where it makes me, sometimes if a lower grade scent comes in, it's not in your face quite as much, and so it can maybe head off in a different direction than you might normally want it to. It can not be absolutely perfect, and because it's so low key, you can allow it to be that way. But when it's up in your face and it's got some strength to it like this one does, you don't want it to have anything that you kind of object to, because it's easy to see and smell what you object to, and it's kind of in your face there. And so it needs to be, in my opinion, something that you really enjoy. So we'll give it a few more chances. A lot of times you can smell something totally different when you try it multiple times. Just the way it goes. All right, now this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Have a good night.